Okay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Wisdom Podcast. I am your host, Janet Sandberg. Aside from being a mental health advocate and suicide awareness also advocate, I am a soul interpreter, divine channel, Reiki master teacher, and intuitive coach with over 35 years of expertise. And I help people move from confusion and chaos to clarity and confidence by connecting them to their soul's purpose and passion. So, love helping people who have been through major life transitions, loss, all the crap that we go through as humans. And yeah, that's my calling. And today I am very excited to talk to Tywanah Evette, who also has some interesting stories to share with us. So, welcome, Tywanah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about this.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Tywanah Evette, those are the two names mom gave me. So those are the two names I go by unless I'm signing a government document. I am also known as the Black Butterfly Goddess, and that was born out of my dark night of the soul. I'm a butterfly fanatic and always have been. And I knew butterfly had to be in my business name. But the black butterfly came from number one being the rarest, and you rarely see
Mhm.
one of them, and number two, me coming out of that dark night of the soul. Yeah. And what I do is I illuminate people's path from the darkness into the light by being a bridge between the material and spiritual realms.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. And we're just audio on the podcast, so I have to point out that Tywanah is wearing a gorgeous butterfly necklace, and I love it. My thing is dragonflies, so we're very
My
similar.
coach, my mentor and coach is a dragonfly fanatic. She wears one around her neck. So yeah,
Yeah,
we're very well connected.
they are all about transformation and flexibility, and
Yes.
yeah. Plus, they're just really cool
They are.
and
They
very
are. I
pretty,
like
just
them.
like butterflies.
I agree.
Yeah, so let's hear the story of your dark night and tell us what was going on in your life when you were thinking about ending your life.
So it started with an unhealed trauma of trigger warning, me being impregnated by my father at 15 years old, my natural father.
My gosh.
As a mental health professional, you can imagine that when you don't receive the correct type of healing from that, it then makes you make poor life choices. You make poor choices in partners because you're meeting a version of that person.
Mhm.
You're meeting a version of the person that did it to you, everyone. And I only started speaking my truth about how far the abuse went 2 years ago. My family was unaware of how far it actually went. They knew there was something wrong when I was sent to live in the group home in New York, but they didn't know how far. So my sisters on my dad's side, funny enough, were the most supportive because
Mm.
they knew the monster he is. And my sisters and my brother from my mother's side have been a lot less supportive and a lot less kind
Oh,
about how far things happen. One sister is really trying, I have to give her credit, but the other two, we are no contact. I want nothing
mhm.
to do with them.
Well,
So
good for
that's when
you
my
for having those boundaries.
thank you. It took a long time for me to get there. It really
Mhm.
did. And so I chose bad partner after bad partner after bad partner, and here I was thinking I had hit the jackpot. I chose a fourth grade teacher. How much better can you get than that? And this fourth grade teacher was very insecure. And
Hmm.
so all of his insecurities suddenly became detailed questions about my past. He got to know what happened. He was the first person that I had shared with about the pregnancy by my father. And him and his family laughed about it together. They had whole conversations behind my back. He told his coworkers.
Oh my God.
Yes, he told his coworkers, and I didn't find that out until almost the end. But he used that, and he would say things to me like, "Maybe your father wanted you 7 days a week, but I don't." That's something that'll stick with you forever, whether there's
Wow.
forgiveness there or not. It's just an
Yeah.
unforgettable statement. And so, the tiny bit of self-esteem that I did have, built up in me, because of course you can't really love yourself after, when you're carrying all that guilt and all that shame with you through your whole life. I had built up a little bit of self-esteem, and he chipped away at it over a 2-year period. And I had come to DC. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I had come up here because my sister lost her partner of forever. Like, he was the only uncle my children knew. It was sudden, it was traumatic. And when I came up here, I had to be strong for her. So I couldn't show emotions. I couldn't cry. I couldn't
Yeah.
mourn his loss, because he was just as important to me, not as important, to my sister, but just as important as he was to my children.
Yeah.
We I called him my brother-in-law. He was just part of the family, and he was a good, joyous part of the family. And so when it happened, I came up here to support my sister, and my sister's a very type A personality, congresswoman kind of personality.
Okay.
And to watch her sitting at the edge of the bed, confused as to how to put her pantyhose on, that
Mhm.
hit hard
Yeah.
when I walked out the room. And I had only seen her cry one time in our entire lives, and that's when mom transitioned. And so, I got on the plane, and my best friend at the time, she's messaging me on the plane. She's like, "Why don't you just go to your house? Why don't you just go to your house? Don't go to his house, just go to your house." And it was like she had a knowing, but she didn't know why she had a knowing. And I was just like, I don't want to hear the argument, because if I go to my house, then I'm cheating, even though I've got cameras in my house that he has access
Oh my
to.
gosh.
And I just can't
Yeah.
tonight. I just can't.
Can't deal with all of that.
No. And so I get in the car, and he has the most bright and beautiful son. I mean, his son is a genius. And I get in the car and I say, when I lived in DC, I was supporting presidential appointees, and I was on call 24/7. So I never got to visit the sites. Maybe we should take him and,
Mm.
take him to some of the museums and things, because he would love it. The car got cold. And I'm like, God, I said something wrong. And I'm trying to go in my mind, like, what did you say wrong? What could you have possibly said wrong in one sentence? And when we get to the house, I go to hug him. I hadn't seen him in a week. He pushed away. And I kind of knew while I was up here that he cheated. Women,
Mhm.
we just have that knowing, but I didn't want to accept it. And so when I got out the shower, I came and sat down next to him on the couch, and he goes, "I'm not going anywhere where you traipsed around town with other men." I'm sorry, I was married to the other man that you're referring to. And huh? Like, I just told you, never went to the sites because I was on call. I didn't want to be at the sites. I was on call. And, he goes, "Your job is to reassure me of my position in your life, and you're not doing a very good job of it. And it makes me think you're hiding something." And of course, people who have covert narcissistic tendencies will blame you for the things they're actually doing. And,
Yes.
looking backwards, I can see that. But at the time, I'm in a complete state of confusion. So something, and I know what that something was now, but something told me to put my phone in my pocket and hit record. And so I did that, because at this point, I need to know I'm not losing my mind.
Right.
We've had so many, insecure centered arguments that I need proof I'm not losing my mind. And at one point, after about 4 hours of being screamed at,
Oh my
his
goodness.
son's coming out the room. He doesn't even care that his son hears it. And I'm like, hello, there's a child in the house. I just felt numb all of a sudden. I just felt numb. And I walked in the bedroom, and I put the phone under my pillow and kept it on record. And he came in there starting nonsense, and I wouldn't respond. And finally, I went to sleep. The next morning, when the sun hit the bedroom, I'm like, oh God, I'm still here. This is really a nightmare. How do I get out of this? And he comes in the room, and he starts it up again.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I remember just feeling nothingness, like
Mm.
pins and needles in my body and nothingness. And I walked over to the dresser. I had just filled my sleeping pills, and I took every one of them, followed by coffee and vinegar. I wanted them to melt. And so his response is, "Great. Now I have to go to the pharmacy and get you Ipecac." And I'm not even paying attention at this point. I'm just numb. And I'm happy that soon this is going to be over. The worthlessness is going to be over. And when he left the house, I walked and went in the woods and laid down and went to sleep. I don't know how I got to the hospital. I don't know how they saved me. I know it wasn't charcoal, but I don't know what they used. The records are not clear. And I don't really think it's meant for me to know.
Yeah.
In that void, I kept telling my daughter, I went somewhere. I know I went somewhere. Something happened when I went to sleep. And I learned after I accepted from my therapist a year later, I accepted that that was domestic abuse. It took me a year
Mhm.
to come to grips with that was domestic abuse
Yes.
because I was accustomed to the kind that hits you. I wasn't accustomed to, she said, what you went through is what prisoners of war go through. It's psychological warfare.
Yep. Mental and
And
emotional abuse. Yep.
exactly. And so after I accepted it, I had this dream and I found out where I went. And I call it the void because I don't know what else to call it,
Mhm.
but it's pretty much the ancestral plane.
Okay.
And my stepdad was there and my mother was there. And my stepdad was a good man. He never told me no. I was a daddy's girl when it came to him. And he's got his head down, like he doesn't want to look at me and tell me no, but he's shaking his head no. And my mother says, you have to go back. And I'm like, Mom, please, I'm worthless. I'm a nobody. Nobody needs me. Nobody loves me. I have no purpose. Please just come on, please let me stay with you. And she goes, no, you have to go back. And I'm like, but why? The kids are adults. Like, why do I have to go back? And I'm pleading with her. And she goes, your purpose begins now. And she pushes me with both of her hands back into my body.
Oh my
And that's when
gosh.
I woke up in the hospital. So a year later, she showed me the dream. She removed the blindfold from my eyes and showed me the dream. And of course, I was able to remember it vividly then.
Mhm.
And when I moved into my apartment, her voice became undeniably loud. And she'd tell me, get up, grab your notebook, start writing. Get up, grab your notebook, start writing. And it was scripting, just scripting, subconscious, allowing all that yuck to come out. I've got journals and journals and journals of scripting. And finally, she said, are you ready to meet the other ancestors that are waiting for you? And I'm like, of course I am. And I remembered at that point that I had psychic gifts since I was 2. I got to meet the rest of my ancestors who surround me, who are here with me at all times. I've got to know their positions and, how each one operates. Um, and even though I went through the dark night of the soul, I've been through those nights where you're rocking in the shower and you're just trying not to scream so you don't wake your neighbors up. And, I've been through those lonely times. My children decided they did not want me to be a part of their life anymore because
Mm.
my trauma had spilled over into their lives so much. And I understand it. They are 100% within their right. I love them. They are 3 of the most beautiful women in the world. They really are, and I'm so proud of them because I cannot imagine what it took, the kind of bravery it took to do that. So I
Mhm.
admire them because they had bravery that I never had. They had boundaries. And
Mhm.
so I respect them for that. And so they don't know mom's been healing, that mom's been sitting at home. Mom didn't hop in another relationship. Mom does not want another relationship. Mom is very happy alone now. And that mom now talks to her ancestors all the time. So I am fully guided and led. My mother's always on my right side. She runs my life. She came through in a recorded RTT hypnotherapy session.
Mm.
And her words were, I didn't protect you when you were a little girl, but I will fiercely guide you and protect you from these realms. And I forgave her before she passed away. I stood at her bedside and told her I forgave her. And I did. I meant it. I meant
Yeah.
it. Because my mother was a beautiful woman. She could make anybody smile. She was just this presence that was just so beautiful and so graceful and so elegant. And so to now know that she's with me at all times, I don't cry on April 8th anymore. I don't cry on July 29th anymore. April 8th was the day of her passing, and July 29th is her birthday. And she's even played her little funny games from there, where I signed my publishing agreement on April 8th of this year.
Of course you did.
And I will be speaking at a women's summit on July 29th
Of
of this year.
course.
And she said, because I don't want you to ever associate those days with being unhappy again. And so now she actually has a bigger TikTok following than I do. I'm kind of starting to get jealous because everybody wants to know where Mama Lorraine is. What does Mama Lorraine say? Let Mama Lorraine choose the deck. But I live a fulfilled and happy life and love me. Finally found something in me, so much in me to love, that if I ran into that fourth grade teacher today and I hadn't known him, he wouldn't have a chance with me because he's not good enough. He's not good enough to be in my goddess energy.
Yes.
And so I found myself, and I'm no longer ashamed, and I no longer feel guilt, and my story just is. That's it. It just is. And
Oh,
now use my voice to inspire others to come forward. And when I tell you the clients that I have in my mentorship program, just to hear their stories and how I've helped to bring them healing. I had a man email me a few weeks ago, and he said, I had the pills in my hand and I saw you on Jeff Mara's podcast and I decided to stay. How much better
amazing.
can you get than that?
It doesn't get better.
And so know that even though it seems woo-woo to a lot of people, that I
Mhm.
am bridging the gap between the material and the spiritual realms to bring people healing and hope and happiness. My life is a dream now. I never thought my life could be this good. And that's even the challenges that I have. But I got a text message Wednesday. I had just finished recording a podcast, and you know how you stay on a few minutes after just to chit
Mhm.
chat or whatever, and froze because I heard my daughter's ringtone. They're the only ones who can get through even when my phone's on silent. And she thought the screen had frozen, but I was just like
It
this.
was you
And then
that was frozen.
yeah. And then I heard my sister's ringtone. And so, of course, my first thought is, oh God, something happened to the girl. Something's wrong. They had come to surprise my sister because she had major surgery last week. And I was allowed to see my grandbabies. And when I tell you, I tore this house apart because I had just come home from vacation, packed up a bag, went to my sister's to take care of her. So I still had suitcases packed in my bag. I was flipping stuff all over the place, looking for something to wear. My birthday bestie is trying to keep me calm while I'm getting dressed because my whole body was shaking.
Oh, yeah.
And because my granddaughter, little Miss Thang, she
Mhm.
kept saying, "Where's Nana? You said Nana lives here. Where's Nana?" And my God, I got to pick her up and hold her, just hug her so tight. And my grandson, he's too big to pick up. He's almost as tall as I am now. I held him so tight, and we got to play tag and hide and seek and go fish and Uno. And, even though you could tell there's a lot of, apprehension on my kids' part, they were still there and they still allowed me to have that joy with my grandkids, to eat pizza with them and to play all these games and spend this entire day focused. I didn't even care who else was at the house. I was with my grandbabies, and I had not seen them in 5 years and had not spoken to them in over a year. So my life is very full now. My heart opportunities, since I said yes to me,
Yeah.
the opportunities that are coming into I have to turn things down because I'm like, I gotta sleep at some point, you guys. I have epilepsy. I gotta go to sleep at some point. My heart, my TikTok following again, when I'm doing readings online, I have moderators and things like that. But I will never forget on my first live, this one young lady, her TikTok name is Loyal Mommy, and she's from the Bronx, New York. And when I tell you that woman lives her name, because that was the first time on my live, and somebody came in the room and started nonsense. And when I tell you, before I could get anything out of my mouth, she was like, "Don't come in here with that." Blah, 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 and just started rambling off. And I'm watching the comments like, I can't believe this. And I had to finally tell her, and the other one is Secret Squirrel, because she went for them too. You two were the first two to ever defend my name.
Yeah.
No one had ever defended my name before that. And so I have so much love in my life. There
Mhm.
is so much love in my life now. I didn't know my publisher had been watching me for 7 years.
Wow.
7 years this woman watched my life on Facebook
Hmm.
before I signed my publishing agreement. 7 whole years.
Yeah.
My coach, she gets emotional now because she's like, I saw you now 10 years ago.
Mm.
How did you see this? She's a psychic as well, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, how did you see this? And she said, all you had to do was say yes to you. That was all you had to do, was say yes to yourself. And I know it has not been easy, and I know about the nights you cried on the floor, but you just had to say yes to you. And since I have done that, my life is on a trajectory that I never in this lifetime could have imagined. I'm getting ready to speak at 4 women's summits that are going to reach millions. And my mother gave me a dream when I fell asleep here one day. And I was on the stage in front of over 1 million women. And so I know it's going to happen
It
because
is gonna happen.
she gave it to me, but I could never have imagined, and to think I wanted to leave here over a bum. I wanted to leave here over someone who doesn't even love himself.
Well, that's the key right there, right? When you love yourself, it allows other people to love you. When you stand up for yourself, it allows other people to stand up for you. But we have to do that work for ourselves, which
Exactly.
involves crying on the floor and doubting our existence and all of that. It's hard work, but man, when we get there, we're on a whole different level of existence.
I never could have imagined. I never could have imagined. And so every day I get up and fight, I'll hear my mother woke me up at 10 o'clock last night, and I'm like, Mom, I just want to sleep. I'm tired. I almost had a seizure today. And she'll say, somebody needs you. And just whenever she says that, I'm up and I'm online. And I spent 6 hours on live last night. And sure
Wow.
enough, there was a lady on there that needed me.
Mm.
And I just have to follow what they tell me to do, and as long as I follow what
Yeah.
they are telling me to do, my life gets better.
Yeah.
So my favorite word in the dictionary is surrender,
Yes.
because once you surrender to the divine, your higher power, God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, once you surrender your life, it becomes something you never could have dreamed of.
Mm.
Once we surrender control, we can't
Yeah.
control anything. It's going
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen one way or the other. So you can do it the easy way, or you can do it the hard way. And
Yeah.
I chose the hard way for so long. And I sit here and have conversations with myself, and I'm like, girl, why didn't you do this 30 years ago? You could
You
have
don't
been
know
married.
what you don't know, right?
But it's just like, girl, really get
Mhm.
yourself together. What was wrong with you?
Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're sharing our stories so that we can reach out to those people so they don't have to take the hard way, so that they can know what we didn't know a little
Yes.
bit more quickly and a little bit more directly. We
100%.
did.
And we have this beautiful resource of social media now.
Mm.
Social media is what you make it. It can be a blessing, it can be a curse, but it
Absolutely.
depends on what you make it. And I choose to make it like, when everybody comes into my room, I tell them this is a safe space. No disrespect is tolerated. Everybody's welcome. I don't care
Mm.
about your color. I don't care about your beliefs. I don't care who you serve. I don't care if you're trans, gay, straight, whatever. None of that's my business. I am here to serve you, and I will not allow anyone to come in this space and disrespect any person in the comments, or they have to be disrespected by me. And, it's been God, it's been such a blessing. So,
Amazing.
as
What would
sad as it was that I tried to take my life, it served a purpose.
it did. It did. What would you tell somebody who is there now?
I see you, I value you, and you're needed.
It's as simple as that.
It really
You
is.
have worth, you're not alone.
Nope, nope, not at all. Look for people like me. We're all out here.
We are. We are. And we're trying to be seen now more than ever.
Yes,
So
yes.
I thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and shining your light and helping people and elevating the world around you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you and everything that you've been through. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. My pleasure.